A couple years ago, I noticed a pattern when it came to reading messages on my phone. I'd have to tilt it just the slightest to adjust how my eyes saw the screen. I'd have to squint a bit to focus in on the words. I tried my best to ignore it, then one night, I found myself expanding the font on the article I was reading, and I realized it was time for me to face the inevitable. I needed glasses. I went to an eye appointment where the doctor confirmed it, but she told me I not only needed them to read, I also needed them to drive. Sure enough, I'm the proud wearer of progressive lenses. If I want to focus on literally anything, near or far, I need these to help me do it. Isn't that just like faith? We tend to think of faith in terms of putting blind trust in something, when more often than not, our faith is not blind. Our experience and what we know informs who and what we decide to put our faith in. This summer, we're helping kids realize that when they focus on what they know, they can put their faith in what they don't. We'll talk about faith like this: trusting in what you can't see because of what you can see. Throughout June and July, we'll finish up our journey through God's one big story as we see how key leaders in the early church learned what it meant to have faith in Jesus as the message of Jesus started spreading throughout the world. Before we hear more about their stories though, we kick off week 1 in the book of Hebrews, where the author takes an entire chapter to remember the faith of God's people. People like Abraham, Moses, and David looked forward in faith, believing that God would send a savior. Now, we look back in faith and can put our faith in Jesus because of what we know about the people who experienced his resurrection. Bottom line, you can know Jesus, even though you've never seen him. Our memory verse comes from this chapter as well. Throughout June, kids will focus on learning Hebrews 11:1. Faith is being sure of what we hope for. It is being sure of what we do not see. This is the perfect verse to capture what we hope all kids will understand about faith. And now let's check out the rest of the month. In week 2, we'll see what happened when Jesus appeared to Paul, who's also known as Saul, on the road to Damascus. Paul was on his way to do one thing when Jesus completely changed his plans, not only for that trip, but for the rest of his life. And the same can be true for us. Bottom line, knowing Jesus changes the way you see everything. Then in week 3, we'll continue Paul's story as we find out what happens when he meets another Jesus follower named Ananias. Ananias knew Paul's reputation for arresting people who believed in Jesus. When God told him that Paul would be coming over, he must have been at least a little bit nervous. But Ananias also believed that Jesus could change anyone and trusted that God would take care of him. Bottom line, knowing Jesus can help you face your fears. We'll finish up June with another one of Jesus' closest followers, Peter. As a good Jewish person, Peter would have been sure to eat the right things, follow the rules, and never go into the home of a Gentile, a person who wasn't Jewish. But through a dream and some messengers, Peter realized that God was orchestrating exactly what would happen next. Peter goes to the home of a Gentile named Cornelius, where he discovers that the story of Jesus really is for everyone. Bottom line, knowing Jesus changes the way you see others. We can't wait to see how kids get to experience faith in Jesus this summer. And we're just getting started. July has some great stories as well that you won't want to miss. So we'll see you then.